Hey, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the at-home virtual PMC ride. This is the latest we've ever woken up on a Saturday morning for PMC weekend. I can assure you, whether you're a longtime rider, you've got decades behind you, or we're looking forward to your first PMC ever. I know that this has been a big weekend and everyone's been waiting to finally get here. The reimagined PMC has been adapting and adjusting and working with whatever's available, much like all of our cancer patients who are going through treatment themselves, learning how to deal with what they're going through, how they approach each day. The PMC itself has been doing that exactly the same thing. But good morning, welcome everyone. We've got a few special guests here this morning. Joining me, my name is Tim Johnson. I'm with USA Cycling, and I'm a 3-year PMC rider. We've got special guests, Lisa Scherber, who I have been just amazed at watching her as someone who has been helping so many young people who are dealing with cancer and going through their treatments and figuring out how they can keep a positive attitude and be ready to go into a battle like no one else. Linda Sterling also joining. She's going to be on a Peloton along with Dr. Toni Choueiri. Those two are really just, either decades riding under her belt as Linda Sterling or a fellow 3-year rider in Dr. Toni Choueiri. Really great to have you two joining. And our other special guest, Emma White, who is on the USA National Olympic Long Team, preparing to compete in Tokyo. Like a lot of us, she is riding inside, and she is figuring out a new way to look at her bike riding. We've got a couple different rides going on. Those of you who are on Peloton joining Linda and Dr. Toni, I hope you have a great ride. The rest of us will be riding on Zwift. You can see that feed in the middle of the screen. We've got just over 115 people joining so far. We've got a really vibrant chat going on the Zwift platform, and we'll also be chatting here in real life here on the video feed. So if you haven't already, text your friends, tell them to get on their bikes and join us. If they're out riding, give them a check-in text and ask how their reimagined PMC is going. I know for us, we'll be getting pretty sweaty here this morning riding inside, but we'll be having a great ride. So we've got just about 2 minutes for our Zwift ride. Dr. Toni, Linda, how's that Peloton ride going so far?
It's great. We have 50 people on here right now, and they're all starting and getting going. So it's very exciting to see so many tags with PMC 2020 on there. We're all high-fiving back and forth.
Nice. Great. Well, it's a really nice platform to be able to ride and meet people on there. Dr. Toni, how many rides on Peloton have you done so far this year?
Okay, we're going to keep this between us. Let's put it that way. It's better to ride outside. But, I've been doing a couple of rides this week, trying to get ready for the big day.
Awesome. Well, that's great. Lisa, I don't want to leave you hanging out there. I know you're riding on your trainer inside. You're not on either the Peloton or Zwift platform, but how's your ride going so far? Have you started to pedal yet? I haven't quite seen those legs move yet.
I'm really trying to just figure it out. My room's so freaking hot. I'm sorry. I think it's okay. I'm doing a nice ride after this as well, so I'm happy.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's a great way to start off your day. Joining us here on this ride and then getting outside a little later. Linda, Toni, Emma, you guys getting out after this?
I'm getting out after this for a ride, yep.
Yes, I'm going all the way from Westwood to JP, having lunch, and then back to Westwood for some ice cream. All on the bike.
Is that in the car? Or
Nice.
On the bike, I promise. For now.
I mean, Emma, I'm jealous. Aren't you jealous? You want to go ride with Dr. Toni?
I am jealous. Yeah, I do.
All right, here we go. The Zwift ride has started just now. We're kicking off, and I don't know, we are well over 150 riders. Look at that crowd. Wow. Those of you guys who are joining on Zwift, keep an eye out for Emma in. Going to try her best to keep up at the front of the ride. But
yeah, it's going pretty good. I'm trying to get to your people.
oh, good. All right. There we go. Now I'm back. All right, Tony's already standing up. Emma's standing up. You guys are getting kicked off. Good work. Oh.
He's already working off that ice cream for today.
Oh, yeah. All those calories, bring them in.
I could go for a nice little iced ice cream coffee drink right now. That would be good. It's been so hot on the East Coast, hasn't it? I mean, we were riding the PMC today, starting in Sturbridge. How is that weather going to look for you guys? Was this going to be a hot year? I'm looking outside trying to get a glimpse of the weather. Were we looking for a 90+ degree day?
I'm getting a question on the chat of where I live, so I'll just answer that over the group if that's okay. But I'm currently riding in upstate New York, near Albany, so it's also really hot here. Probably not quite yet, but.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I am back, guys. I'm sorry. Technical difficulties. Don't worry, the internet is still working. My phone was not.
Are we getting a lot of feedback from somebody's bike?
Probably mine.
It's because you're going so fast.
That's it. I can stop, Linda, at any point. I can talk much better than I can spin. Well, I'm a team player, so I can do that.
All right, can you guys hear me now? Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Oh, good. That's great. I do want to introduce what roles everyone has here in their PMC. Obviously, we're all riding and supporting as participants and fundraisers, but some of us have jobs that are far more important for that. And I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you, Lisa.
Oh, good.
Can you tell me a little bit about your role with the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute and the Jimmy Fund?
Sure. I'm the director of the Patient and Family Programs. I've been there for almost 29 years. When I first started, I was sort of known as the play lady, and I'm totally fine with that title as well. So my job is an interesting one, which I love so much. My only job really is to work with my team and the multidisciplinary team at the Jimmy Fund to provide support for our patients and families while they go through the worst times of their lives. And by support, it's emotional support. It's trying to sort of give them comfort and make things feel just a little bit better. And the biggest goal I have is when our patients and families look back at this time, and no matter what the outcome is of their child, they can look back at their time in the Jimmy Fund Clinic and feel some sense of joy happened here. You know, throughout this horrible ordeal, they can look back and they can see that their child had joy, and they smiled, and they felt loved, and they felt like we were their family. And I think in my 29 years, I really feel like, I can look back and I can say with complete confidence that I think we're doing our job really well. And I think we're able to do our job really well because of the funds that we have directly through the PMC to make these kids feel like they're not cancer patients, but they're kids. So it's truly important, and I feel so grateful to be there.
That's wonderful. I'm so moved every time I hear about how the PMC has come together to support people in programs like yours. I have a friend who's recently been diagnosed, and they're not a kid, and it's hard. Your work with young people who are going through that is just so inspiring.
Yeah, there's just so much that we can provide to these families. And then it's really our obligation. Wonderful. We need to do this. We need to sort of give them opportunities that can sort of bring joy.
Yeah, well, we can have some escapism and get out on our bikes and ride a little bit to find ourselves and collect our thoughts. And that's a really fortunate thing that we're able to do. Gathering in a group, thousands of riders for the PMC every year for 41 years is something that is just so spectacular and fantastic to be a part of. So thank you for your help and for what you do in your day job, but also for riding as you do.
Oh God, this is the best way to give back. And all the patients' families know that everyone out there that's riding is riding for them. And whether they're fundraising for them or they're riding with their heart, just to sort of show them that they're not alone. I think that's the biggest thing that the PMC can do, is we are just one huge team that sort of shows all of our patients and families that they are not alone in this fight.
Yeah, well, that's great. And you work in tandem with someone else here who's joining us on a bike. I'm looking at you, Dr. Toni Choueiri.
Hi.
You are very intensely involved in the success and health and wellness of those people going through cancer. But you're also, you've got to do a lot of other things. How are you leading all of these different lives? How are you fitting it all in to be able to join us here on Saturday morning for the PMC?
Not great. We do it as we go. So I actually lead the genitourinary cancer team at Dana-Farber, and we treat adults with prostate, bladder, testicular, and kidney cancers. And actually today is an emotional day for me. On August 1, 2007, which is 13 years ago exactly, Tim, I moved from Cleveland to Boston to be at Dana-Farber. So today, that PMC 2020 day is my 13 years working at Dana-Farber. I just realized that yesterday. So been 13 years, it's passed fast, because this is the most fun and rewarding job I have. And I got associated with the PMCs many years ago, but I did not start riding till 3 years ago, when I was challenged by actually a member of our team, who's the son of a patient of mine who's benefiting from one of the treatments in kidney cancer that Dana-Farber researcher wrote, from earlier to later stages. So I've been 3 years riding the PMC, the funds. I see the funds that raised through research grant, programming, initiative. They wouldn't be possible without the riders. And I also love, we put it on our calendar, this camaraderie with the team. I ride on team more cowbell, and we have cancer survivors. We have family members that keep me out of trouble. We have colleagues. I'm in so much awe of their strength and determination. So it's fun. It's all fun.
Well, I can't go any farther without recognizing Billy Starr, the founder of the PMC. And I'm going to channel a little bit of Billy right now. And I'm going to say, but Dr. Toni, why did it take you 10 years to ride the PMC?
I didn't have Billy in my life, waking up in front of my doorsteps every day. If he did that, would have been earlier. It takes some time. I'm not a biker. I wasn't, let's put it that way, Tim. I wasn't into wellness for a long time.
Well, we're glad that you're here now. We're glad that you found yourself on a bike, and the work that you do during the day and the time you spend on your bike. Being able to be challenged by someone requires that you're more than just visiting a patient in a hospital room. You're doing more than just checking in on how they are physically. So I'm really thankful that you were able to get challenged and join us here today. How's that ride going so far, guys? How's the
I'm sweating. I don't know about everybody else, but I hope that everyone else is sweating as much as I am.
Sorry, I got a squeaky bike. I have to back off.
we need to spray some olive oil on there. Oh,
Well, you've got another ride coming up today too, so
That's all right.
We'll do it.
yeah, small warm up. Looks like, so we're watching Emma on screen. And so this is Jarrett Collins, the COO of the PMC, who has been working tirelessly to reimagine the PMC entirely. And he's not only on the bike with us right now, but he's controlling the camera. So he's doing a little bit of a broadcast work as well. Definitely jack of all trades. But we're watching Emma, and you can just see the red, white, and blue jersey kind of tucked in there. And Emma is joining us from upstate New York. She has a long history of riding in New England as a bike racer in a family who have all been on a bike, at least at some point, and have all shared an incredible success. Emma's here instead of preparing for the Olympic Games in Tokyo. So we're really thankful to have her here. But Emma, would you introduce yourself a little bit and tell us how you ended up here on the bike with us?
yeah, definitely. Well, I'm Emma White. I've been riding for rally cycling for 5 years, and I've been on the U.S. Track team for 2 years now, which would have been the Olympic. We're on the Olympic long team for this year. So just this past week, I was thinking I had my flight to Tokyo, and we would have been racing on Tuesday and Wednesday. Monday and Tuesday. So it's a little bit of a bittersweet week, but I'm really happy to be here. There's no better way that I could imagine spending this week than with you guys. And this is just so inspiring. And I've been getting all sorts of direct messages and texts about who people are riding for. And I love hearing all of your stories. And it's really, really inspiring. So I'm happy to be here. My first time riding for the PMC.
That's awesome. Well, we hope it's going to be more. I feel like those of us who have had single-digit years, so your first time up to your 9th time, you're such a youngster. You're a young pup in terms of PMC, because as soon as you start the ride, you ride behind people and the numbers on their back has the years of participation. And I can't tell you how many people I see that are 10, 15, 20 years, 25 years. There are a few in the 30s. And then there's that very select group who have done every PMC every year. So don't feel bad about being your first. But welcome to the crew.
Yeah, you better
That really is
believe
a
I'll
good
show
event.
up for the years to come. Absolutely. I'm going to get a
And
big number on my back.
if you're away racing in Tokyo next year, you just have to, we'll check in, we'll do a little video chat and say hi to the PMC crowd.
Yeah, I'll continue the reimagine.
Yeah, being an elite athlete, trying to go to school, get your degree, trying to fit into your racing and travel, it is a really unique way of becoming a professional athlete. Now that you're here, now that you're racing, tell us a little bit about how this season has been for you.
Yeah, it's been really a crazy ride. I got my degree this past fall, so without that balance of school, I'm a little I realized how much I depended on that. And of course, I have so many other things going on that fill my time. But so it was good, that balance that I had. And now I've been able to spend some time with family and when I'm not in Colorado Springs. But most of the time I'm living at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. So that's been a really great resource to get what I have to get done. So it's kind of been my world for the last year, and it will be for the next year.
Yeah, well, we've all had to adapt quite a bit. And so Linda Sterling, you're joining us on a Peloton bike. You've got Dr. Toni in there with you. Linda, from your perspective, we've had to adapt as an event. We've had to adapt as a society, and figuring out how we're going to work with this. How has that affected your PMC, and what are you learning as you're going?
So I live down in New Jersey, and we went into lockdown on March 13th. And the group of women that I ride with out of our local bike shop said, we shouldn't go out and ride because the hospitals here were just overflowing with patients. It was scary. We lost several friends to COVID. And so I knew I couldn't get out on the road even as it started to warm up. So I started doing my Peloton, which I've been doing on and off, but really committed to it and rode every day, and started having friends of mine ride with me. So we'd organize rides every day, or I would organize rides every day to get people to join me so it wouldn't feel so lonely riding inside, because I like the camaraderie of riding with others. And we had that stretch going for a really long time. And then when I saw the email come from the PMC about the Zwift rides, I said, why don't we have Peloton PMC ride? So PMC powers that be were great and said, fine, if you organize it. So that's what always happens when you say something needs to be fixed, they say, okay, you fix that. And so we got about 350 people signed up for the rides on every Tuesday. And we'd pick a 45-minute ride. And it was so great to see all the people with PMC 2020 hashtag. Right now we have 70 people on our ride right now, and everybody's high-fiving each other back and forth. My leaderboard name is L Sterling PMC. It always has been since I got the Peloton, because riding and the Peloton and training for the PMC are a big part of my life every year.
That's so cool. I mean, the community really is the strongest thing that we have. It's the thing that brings us all together, and bikes are a really great catalyst for either helping each other, learning about each other, supporting each other. Bikes have really given so much to all of our lives in some way. So it's really nice to be able to have that to lean on when we're going through something like, global pandemic, truthfully.
Right, the camaraderie that you find in the PMC and the friends that you make over the years, it's the same thing on the Peloton. I've connected with a lot of people, but I started riding the PMC back in 1988, and there are people I met that first year that I'm still really good friends with and have meant a lot to me in my life. And it's a joyful reunion every year when we come back to Sturbridge to ride and to see them, and so many hugs. And I have a friend on Dr. Toni's team that I rode with for like 40 miles one year, and we had a great time. And it's joyful. The PMC is just joyful.
Yeah, it really is. Lisa, I feel so bad that you're over there not pedaling. I have
No,
an idea,
I'm
though.
literally pedaling backwards because I feel like that's what this year has been. So I just want you to know I'm pedaling backwards because this is killing me. Whatever, it's all good. You know what? I'm not a cyclist. No one is really, except for, well, Emma, but and you, Tim. But it's our hearts that we give, and trust me, my heart is 110% into this ride into the Jimmy Fund and Dana-Farber. So I'm pedaling up here. That's it.
Well, you're so right, though, Lisa. There's bikes, the level at which you consider yourself to be a bike rider, a cyclist being the most intense of a bike rider, someone who rides, 5, 6, 7 days a week and puts in, incredible time versus being a bike rider. That spectrum is really huge. When you started riding the PMC, how has bike riding been a part of your life? How many days a week you ride? What do you like to do? I think
for me, when I started riding the PMC, I was in my 20s and I had no idea what I was doing. And now I'm in my 50s. I still have no idea what I'm doing. But I think what it's done for me is it's given me an outlet for all the emotions that we deal with at work. And I think that's been super important. So without the PMC and sort of getting on a bike and riding, I don't think I would have realized the benefits of sort of going for those 60-mile rides or riding the 2-day PMC, because it allows me a chance to selfishly think of all the kids and their families that I've worked with for 29 years. And so many of them have gone on and graduated high school or college and had babies of their own. And unfortunately, we've lost so many. And on this ride and on my training rides, I consistently think of them. And I smile and I think of all the things that we were able to provide for them and all the things that they provided for us. You just don't forget. You don't forget a face and you don't forget a family. So for me, the PMC is so much more than riding. It's really everything. It's given me a sense of purpose. And so I just think it's actually really funny that I'm cycling backwards because I just think this is crazy, but I'm cycling backwards and it's actually good. It's sort of keeping me ready and moving because I don't like to stay still. So this is really hard for me to sit on a bike and not move. But yeah, I think it's great to ride next to people for a half a second that are flying by you on the PMC. And then it's great to ride with someone who's sort of just struggling up that hill. And you're like, you look at their face and you're like, you got this. And they know they do. And I love it. I love every mile, every rainstorm we've had, every heated day.
Every foggy morning.
Yes, all of it. I love it all. And I'm so passionate about the whole thing. And I love seeing these riders this morning. I mean, I think this is great. And, when you have Dr. Toni on and me, a clay lady, it sort of shows what Dana-Farber is. Right? Yes, right back at you, Toni. I mean, our jobs could not be any more different, but yet we're so connected with our mission. And I think that's everyone that rides this PMC. And I think Billy has done, a job and a half, sort of getting all of us to be so committed every day.
You're so right. You're so right. And, being next to someone who's riding their first PMC is a special moment because they have a lot of questions, not only logistical ones. I'm looking at you, Billy, but they're interested in figuring out like what to do, like why are we here? The decades of experience that you all have had in getting to where you are in the ride. Emma's a first-year rider. Like, what's a typical conversation that you have with someone when you meet a first-timer on the road, Lisa?
Oh, for me, I mean, I can't start really with what I do right away because I don't want people, sort of. But, I'll talk about, a little of the fun stuff that happens at clinic. A little bit of the day-to-day, And I think it's super important to realize that I'm not a cyclist. So if I'm next to someone, it's their first time and they don't know what they're doing, I'll be like, oh my gosh, if I can ride this and end up in literally anyone can do this. And so I just feel like, it's not about your muscles. It's not about your breathing. It's literally about everything that you have inside you that fights, and it's your heart. And I truly believe that, every time you're going up a hill and you struggle, you just think of somebody in your life that just their battle was so much worse than our bike ride consistently. So you just get up to the top of the hill, and it doesn't matter how you get up. It really doesn't matter how you get up. You don't have to look pretty. You just get up and you do it again and again. And there's always a downhill. So
with that,
and the way people are welcomed for their first year when they register, they check into the registration desk in Sturbridge or Wellesley, where the people ring the cowbells and everybody in the room cheers. I think that hooks people right away. They feel welcomed, and it's hard not to get hooked on the PMC and come back year after year.
Well, Toni, do you have a cowbell handy? Because we have a first year rider.
I'm sending some text messages now for folks.
I want to hear some cowbell.
Get me cowbell.
Emma, when you're picking up your packet in Sturbridge the night before the ride, there are thousands of people milling around. You've got the old pros who are there. They know exactly where to go, when to be there. You've got the wide-eyed, I have no idea what's going on. How am I going to sleep 5 hours and then get up and ride all day? But if you're a first timer, they ring a cowbell when you pick up your packet, and everyone in the room and people are milling in and out of there all day long immediately cheer. And it's a really special moment.
Yeah, it's just like another person added on to the team. I know we all have separate teams, but it's really just one team. So every time that cowbell goes off, it's just like, yes, we have another one. We have another committed person. So it's a huge thing. And it gives, I think, all of us veteran riders, it gives us sort of a little bit of a high to sort of know that, this is building each year. It's just gone crazy. So we're so proud to be a part of it.
So Emma, you're listening to Lisa and Linda and Dr. Toni. Tell me a little bit about how what they're saying fits into the challenges of being a rider. It really is, you just have to do it. You gotta pedal harder, even if it hurts. You gotta wake up and, get back into training, even when you don't feel like it. What are those things that kind of stick out in your mind?
Yeah, absolutely. That pain is something that I've thought about a lot in the last couple of years. And I'm coached by Kristen Armstrong, who is one of the people who can successfully bring the most pain to herself in a good way. Like she is unbelievable at what she does, and she's really taught me how to do that. So we always think that
she's a 3-time Olympic gold medalist.
She sure is, yeah, and just retired after Rio 4 years ago. So when we feel that pain, we welcome it, and we think that we want that because we want to be hurting more than everybody else, because that's how you end up faster than them. So it really is, it's true. It applies to all aspects of life, and it's fascinating. I know we all know somebody who has been through struggles and who've definitely gone through worse what we're going through right now. And I think about that all the time. And I know I better not complain about this, because this is what's keeping me going. And, knowing all of you, it really is a special community. So I'm so happy to be a part of it, and now part of the PMC community.
Well, we're happy to have you. Hey, Toni, when you think about how you approach your work now, and having the PMC, as something you can talk about, as something you can share that you're doing yourself, how does that fit into those conversations about, I don't know if I can do it. 192 miles, are you crazy? How does that work for you?
Yeah, what Lisa said about, it's not the muscles. It's not even your training. It's a lot of it is in the heart and determination. When I see our patients at Dana-Farber going through their lot, I mean, cancer doesn't just affect the person, it affects the whole family, the whole social network. And when they go to, many of my patients tell me their diagnosis and treatment has been the toughest challenge of their lives. And we've talked about people that had challenges. I have a couple of veterans. I have people that fought in wars, and they still say that cancer and that diagnosis is by far the most complex and the most hard thing they went through, emotionally, physically, on their families. So 192 miles, not a problem. I wasn't on a bike really till I started doing the PMC. The last one, I was 13 years old. So, thankfully, when I discussed with my family that I'm gonna do it, that's it, they recruited my poor brother-in-law, Mark, to just be on the PMC, on the team, more cowbell, so I don't get killed. And fair enough, the first ride, I end up on the highway. I don't know how I made the wrong turn, so it was the highway. So you need all the support system around yourself. And now we have a great team that are all part here on the Peloton following us. We have a pedal partner, and it's just something very, very special. It's joyful. People said to me, so do you look forward to it? I look forward to Thanksgiving, to Christmas, and I look forward to the PMC ride. It's on my calendar. I put everything around it.
That's so cool. You're making me just wish that I were in the group of thousands of people riding on Scherber right now. Where would we be at 8:37 a.m.? Wow, we would be probably, I don't know, twisting and turning by those lakes. What towns are those? It's
Tim,
funny.
you are more
Goes by in
welcome
a
to
blur.
join more cowbell.
Yeah, I would actually be backwards, so I would not be making any headway.
No, Lisa, you'd be
They're gonna
picking
win,
over all the
Lisa, go.
Dunkin' Donuts there. You'd be like, look at all these donuts that are left. They're all mine. Dr. Toni, Linda, I understand that you're both on teams that have pedal partners. Would you share a little bit about that program? And I'm thinking of the climb to the feed stop with all the photos of our pedal partners, and can you tell Emma and the rest of us watching what that means and what's that like?
Sure. I'll talk while Tony's lifting weights.
He's
When
hard.
Just following the Peloton route. I'm a rule follower. What can I
I'm gonna
say?
get some weights now.
So I started riding in 1988 for 5 years, and then I had kids, and I live in New Jersey, so it was too hard to come back to the PMC at that point. But in 2005, I was able to start training again and rejoined, and have done the last 15 years straight. But when I came back in 2005, I asked if I could join a team. So I felt that the camaraderie would be good, because there wasn't anybody I knew from New Jersey at that point who was coming up to Massachusetts to ride. So I was put on Team Kinetic Karma, which is a great group of people, and we had a pedal partner. And we've had, over the last 15 years, I think 3. Our pedal partner this year is Abel, and that's his name, is a little boy.
Oh my God, don't you just love him?
He's adorable.
He's the
I've only
cutest.
gotten to see pictures. Yeah, I've only gotten to see pictures of him. I was hoping to meet him at the tent. So I think it's
He
the
is
second
pure
to last.
joy.
Yeah, oh great. I know the part of my team met him yesterday when they were doing their PMC Reimagined across Massachusetts. So I think now, everybody has their reasons for riding the PMC. When I started riding in the 80s, not a lot of people talked about who had cancer. It was much quieter. But, over the last 20 years, people are more comfortable sharing their stories and the process they went through. And I'm a breast cancer survivor, and I reached out to a lot of people when I had that. So I think people sharing their stories helps, and seeing the children and having the pedal partners really reminds you what it's all about. And the kids we've had as a pedal partner have been just adorable and so strong to battle what they're battling. And it gives you great faith in what the Dana-Farber is doing to help these kids. And I think I saw a video the other day from the PMC that a huge percent of children now survive pediatric cancers. Is it 80%? I think. So, we still have a long way to go until we find the cures for the remaining 20% of patients, the children that get cancer. So it just kind of reminds you, and that's one of the things I love about the PMC, is it truly connects the mission with the fundraising and the ride. And that's what it's all about, that we want to find the cures and make sure that nobody has to go through, what I've gone through, what children go through, what my mom just passed away from pancreatic cancer. It's horrible to see people suffer. It's especially hard to see little children suffer. And the more we can do to bring that story to our sponsors and make sure they understand the importance of the fundraising, because as Billy says, the PMC weekend, that's the cherry on top of the sundae. It's really all about the fundraising.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and one of the things
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Linda.
I was going to say, one of the things I do is I do ribbons for all of the people who have cancer that my sponsors asked me to ride for. And last year I had about 160 ribbons on the back of my jersey. And this year I have 230. I have 350 sponsors. And almost everybody asked me to ride in honor or in memory of someone. And I get a lot of questions as I ride about what are all the ribbons for and who are they? And each ribbon that I write out, it just breaks your heart. You think of the person who asked you to ride for them. You think about their loved one who's had cancer, and it's important to bring that back. That's why we do this. And I think the stories we tell to our donors about connecting the mission with the ride, that's why they give. They want to find a cure for cancer too.
That's a lot of ribbons. On one hand, it's terrible that there are so many, and on the other hand, it's wonderful that you're able to recognize each of them in a way that when we are riding together, it immediately triggers that question. Hey, what are the ribbons about? Who are they? Who are the people written down on there? So it's really nice
exactly.
to
When I come from the PMC and I write my thank you notes, I include the ribbon for each donor, and I get stories from people. From my donors, when they get the ribbons back, they put it on their Christmas tree, they hang it on their refrigerator. It means a lot to them, and I think that connection is what it's all about.
And the PMC is definitely not just that one weekend. Billy's absolutely right. It is just the time that most of us get together. It's the time that most of us spend, really concentrating on riding for the PMC, but it really is year round. And Dr. Toni, you have a pedal partner this year as well, but you don't work in pediatrics, correct?
I do not, but I still see the play lady many times when I pass by, we have many buildings, but on my way, you're hard to miss. So I don't, but we are, our pedal partner on Team More Cowbell is Maggie, third year in a row. Maggie is a leukemia pediatric cancer patient survivor. Maggie, everyone. Lisa.
Yes, I know them. I know. I feel so bad because my team, we don't take a pedal partner because they're all mine, I guess. We ride for all of them. And I love when kids get matched up with different teams and see their excitement that a whole team is taking them on, and it means so much to them and their family. And then the pedal partner, that's the cherry on top for me. I mean, that's sort of, it gives me so much strength. Like, you guys, when you sort of meet your pedal partner under the tent, like, I think, it's just a huge moment to just sit there and just for a moment forget about the ride and just squeeze the stuffing out of them. You know what I mean? It's just sort of, it's so huge. It's such a great program. And it really, for those who don't work in pediatrics, it sort of just shows a different side of what you're doing. You're not just riding, you're supporting, you know, a little person and their family. It's huge.
And, you know, one of the things that I also find special about the PMC is riding with survivors, you know, people who have gone through treatment, they've come out the other side, they're riding with family who were with them, you know, holding their hand as they were going through treatment themselves. And you see these packs of riders, you know, and there's always someone who triggers that, who starts that group. But I love to see people find bikes late in life. You know, everyone thinks of a kid riding a bike. It's just a natural occurrence. But people who find their way onto a bike later and then find themselves in the PMC really are a special breed.
Right.
You know, we're experiencing an incredible boom in bikes right now. Bike shops are empty. You can't buy a bike at Walmart or Target. You know, every single bike is cleaned out. Where, you know, how can we keep them? How can we get those kids to stay on bikes and to become a PMC rider someday, should they ever have the opportunity? You guys have any thoughts about that?
I think without a doubt, I think their parents are PMC riders, and that's what's so cool. Like today, when I go to Gloucester, I'm going to be riding with 3 other teams, and a few of those teams, they're all parents. And for me to sort of say, hey, do you want to ride with us in Gloucester? I'm like, yes, I do. You know, to ride with parents and their kids are in the middle of this battle is so huge because everything they have given is for their child, and yet they're still riding for other kids, and to make sure that no other parent goes through this. And to ride alongside a parent of one of our children in the Jimmy Fund Clinic is truly pure inspiration. And I love it. I can't wait to go see them in Gloucester after this.
Tim?
Well,
Tim.
Go for it, Tony.
Yeah, one thing is the PMC has started several years ago, PMC Kids Ride, which happens in many towns around Boston. So we're lucky in my town to have it. And it's really very powerful. And my kids both do it. And of course, this year it did not happen, but last year and the year before, you know, several hundred kids and their parents, you know, they did an event where they honored their kindergarten teacher from 6-7 years ago who had cancer and surprised her. We met at the end. We do, you know, a smaller loop. I feel 5 miles, and it's been beautiful. So kudos to Billy and Bill and Jared and all the PMC team that were able to integrate through the PMC Kids Ride our families. And it's a shame it didn't happen this year for obvious reasons.
Yeah, no, hopefully we'll be on the other side of this, you know, because it really does, even though we're all on bikes still, we're finding ways to ride. It is harder to not be together. You know, Emma, when you hear about kids getting out for a 5-mile ride, you know, when you're young, 5 miles is a really long way. You know, as athletes, 5 miles isn't very far. You know, someone who's done the PMC when it's 192 miles, it's not that far, but 5 miles is a long ways.
Yeah, it is a big way. And any kid who does that should be so proud of themselves. And it's just, they are so proud. Like, it's really great to see and be a part of. And on my team, Rally Cycling, we always do this fundraiser for United Healthcare Children's Foundation. And every year at Tour California, a kid who is sick and who's, you know, kind of been in and out of hospitals, and they design a bike, and we actually auction it off, and we get to know the kid a little bit in doing it. So it's kind of reminding me of these pedal partners, and it's just fascinating to see, and it's such a rewarding thing to see a kid so excited to be on a bike. And like you said, it's so we do this every day, but it's a special thing. We really can't take it for granted.
No, we really can't. And, I think that's actually a great thing to talk about, is the PMC being really the first and most successful bicycle fundraisers in the world. Growing up in New England, I heard about the PMC. I knew that I was a bike rider, but I didn't know anyone who was riding the PMC growing up. But as I became more active, I would always run into people who said, "Hey, you got to ride the PMC. It's amazing." Or, "Hey, would you donate to my fundraiser when I do the PMC?" But it's really something special to be 41 years in, over $700 million raised from people just like you, and to have it all go to one place. And now with a 100% pass through being such an integral part of what the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute is doing, Toni, how do you work with that funding? You and Lisa are on the ground every day. What does that funding mean for the programs that you're a part of? And, tell us a little bit about what you see in that progress from the work that the Dana-Farber is doing.
Oh, a lot of things. It makes research happen. We know how hard, we call it the pay line for federal funding. I think it's 7-8%. So this is the seed money for every day. And actually, it's much more critical this year because of all the strain that COVID put on us, and our resources that are, to begin with, scarce. So very important. The biobank, the research coordinator, a lot of the infrastructure is paid by the money provided by the PMC and the generous patients and family members and supporters. And you can see that in research, and maybe we'll come back later, discuss some of the research, because I don't think, at least to my knowledge, that there is any research advances in terms of topic that happens in the world that doesn't have a Dana-Farber person part of, from immunotherapy to epigenetics to blood biopsy and on and on and on. My mentor and now collaborator, who was a speaker yesterday on the PMC, Dr. Bill Kalin, who actually lost his spouse to cancer, had on October 7th, I will never remember that day, so I almost got into a two-car accident that morning, the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine. He's an oncologist, trained at Dana-Farber, and the topic of hypoxia and oxygen sensing and how it relates to the physiology of cancer, and in particular, part of it, kidney cancer, led to advances and to drugs we're putting into patients with kidney cancer, with VHL disease, and other. That interaction and camaraderie and family between a clinician, such as myself, and basic scientists, such as Dr. Kalin, and many other we work with, Dr. Friedman, Dr. Freeman, is really what makes Dana-Farber a very, very special place, second to none, in my opinion.
Incredible network to be able to put your finger on so close to home. And that, those advances are so extraordinary to think of. To be able to see the connection from the pedaling that we're doing and the money that we're raising, to hear about advances like that. I know it's never fast enough. It's never as effective as we would want at the first moment if the trials start, but that's really great to hear. And Lisa, knowing that you've got work like that happening on the research side, that must give you a lot of hope and And when you're working with all those young people, that must be a great thing to know, but really hard to translate to them. How do you do that?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think hope is probably the best word for this. We have a lot of our doctors at the Jimmy Fund Clinic who also ride, and they ride for their research. And the parents know that their doctor is not just taking care of their child, but their doctor is riding to raise money to fight for their child, which is the most amazing thing. And for me, it's like the research obviously is so critical. For my sort of goal is, I provide sort of the support and the joy. And so funds go to that. And so each year we are able to host a winter festival where we have 800 people, patients and their families, with Santa Claus, and the elves are the first year fellows each year. So I don't know, Dr. Toni never was an elf, but our doctors, when they're first year, I stopped them from riding.
He'd be a great elf. I don't know. Raise your hand if you think Toni would be a great elf.
And that's really huge for our families when they're in line for Santa, and all of a sudden their child says, "That's Dr. Joe," and he's an elf. And I just think the funds that are raised that can provide the support and the pure joy, I mean, that is just, when they say every dollar raised goes to the joy and the smiles and the laughter and the research and the hope. It's because I get to spend a lot of it. So I know, and I don't think I would be able to do this stuff without the PMS challenge, without a doubt. So for me, riding in this, whether I'm riding backwards, I'm riding. I'm not riding like Dr. Toni here. He's really putting us to shame.
He's going for it.
I'm getting my exercise for the day.
You can have two today.
Oh yeah, and then lunch.
As a rider, I think it's so inspiring to see the doctors and nurses that are riding, to see the living proof riders, people that come back with the doctors and nurses. I think of how hard they're working and what their day must be like, that they can find the time to train and fundraise and come out, but they're doing it. And it's uplifting when you see any of them and can ride with them and chat with them. I mean, one of the things I love about the PMC is you can talk to 1 million people during the 2 days or 3 days, and you hear so many amazing stories, and it really brings back why we're all doing this. So I'm thrilled that we have so many doctors and nurses riding.
And play ladies.
Yeah, they're
and play ladies, yes.
Exactly.
Staff and administrators and everything.
Emma, when I hear Toni and Linda and Lisa talk, I think of the people that I know that ride a bike. They may be involved in healthcare. They may be, somehow tangentially related. How do we invite those people to join? How do we say, hey, I did this ride on Saturday with the PMC crew. It was my first time. What's next? What do you say?
Yeah, I think really just sharing. I mean, as a first-time PMC rider, I've learned so much in the last couple of weeks, and I know there's so much more to share with people. So I think, this truly is special to everybody in some way. If you just share the information, and people, I know I'm set on it. I think anybody would get on board if they knew what's going on here and the amazing community you guys have. So yeah, I encourage everybody. I'm going to tell everybody about it, everybody I meet.
Perfect. Well, that's all we can hope for. We are coming up to the 9:00 hour. This hour has gone by so quickly, even for Lisa. I want to thank you guys for joining for this broadcast. PMC weekend is special. This is different this year. It is reimagined. We'll make the best of it that we possibly can. Really, I want to say thank you to the PMC crew, Jarrett, the team, Billy, of course. I hope he's watching if he's not riding himself. But really a special community to be a part of. Something I'm so thankful for. My friends and I get a chance to ride the PMC, and we just love it. But, thank you again, Dr. Toni, Linda, Lisa, the Play Lady. Thank you for joining. Emma, you were a great guest. Thank you for taking it easy on us. And we wish you the best of luck in Tokyo.
Thank you,
course.
guys.
Thank you, Tim. Go.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you so much. Everyone at home, thank you for watching. And Zwift, we'll see you for a few more minutes. But thank you again so much, guys. Really appreciate it.